right, tonight we have with us Rick Nobles from Patron Insight, and he will go over the results of our current survey. So we're delighted to have you here.
Thank you. It's good to be here. I have to start off with a quick aside. I had a meeting this morning with the new superintendent in Clinton, Missouri, Destry Brown, and he said to say hello to someone who is related to him on the board, but I couldn't remember the name.
Gotta be Jamie.
Gotta be Jamie.
Who was it? Destry Brown. He thinks he's related to. Okay, I'm sorry.
One of our board members is absent.
Okay, that's probably it.
Oh, I bet, yeah, because he's from kind of...
He's a good guy.
Pittsburgh, Kansas, so it's not too far from
Clinton,
Clinton.
Missouri.
Well, is he Pittsburgh, Kansas?
Yes.
Oh, that would be
that's
Jim
right.
Packard. He's at the PGA.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good deal. All right.
Jamie's off.
As you know, in late May, early June of this year, we conducted a 10 to 12 minute telephone survey with 375 patrons of the district. When we combine random digit dialing of that number of people with geographic breakout, in this case the intersection of Highway 44 and Highway 72, to match the population of the district, we get a plus or minus 5% error factor on the information that we are gathering. And I know that 375 doesn't sound like a lot of people, but when Gallup does polls for the entire country, they only talk to 1,100 people. So, to give you an idea of the power of statistics. Purpose of the survey is to provide the district with feedback from patrons on a wide variety of issues. We usually start planning surveys with a section called grading questions. We ask for perception of, in this case, 18 different areas that we asked patrons about, everything from quality of facilities to technology to overall quality of education to teachers to Board of Education. 16 of the 18 areas that we asked about received a grade of B or better. And of special note, the top three, quality of school facilities, performance of teachers, which is always either one or two, quality of education in Rolla Public Schools. That for me is the touchstone question of the entire deck. And that's the first thing that I always look at. And I will tell you that, and I don't say this to brag, but let me just say that we work with 150 school districts in 13 states. We have done hundreds of surveys. Your score of 4.36 on quality of education would rank in the top 5% of all the school districts that we have ever done a survey for. You were really to be commended. That's a great score. Two areas that fell short of the mark were both specific to spending in particular areas. The one question asked about spending for athletics, and the other question asked about spending for the arts. And what we learned was that 90% of the people thought spending for athletics was too high. 85% thought spending for the arts was too low. So an interesting barometer there for you. The other thing that the grading questions kind of allow us to do is identify what we call patron hot buttons. And that happens when 81% or more of the people that we talk to are able to give us an answer about a particular topic. If less than 81% of the people do that, so if you have more than 20% say, I don't know, we consider that not to be as hot of a topic. Again, you had 16 out of 18 items that were patron hot buttons. The only two that were not, value of the programming available for students at the Tech Center, although it received a score of 4.29, so it received a very high score for the people who knew what it was. And then class sizes, meaning the number of students in each classroom. So obviously your patrons think that everything's okay there, or they don't have enough knowledge about that. The next thing that we tend to look at is kind of an open-ended question. What are the strengths and weaknesses of the district? If you're following along, I think it's page 16, although my printed copy doesn't always match the bound copies. It's page 16 for me. The answer to the strengths question, academics and curriculum, number 1, teachers and facilities, number 2, kind of top the list. A similar question about the needs for improvement. I'm on page 19. The number 1 response to needs improvement was don't know. That's the only time in a survey where you want to get the answer, I don't know. If you can't think of a weakness, that's usually a good thing. The other 2 were managing the budget, which every district that I've ever worked with, that is at the bottom of the list, and communications. In other parts of the survey, we talk about communications and people are happy with it, but there's clearly a desire for a little bit more in the communications realm. We then asked about multiple aspects of the district's recent bond issue. Everything we asked about scored extremely well. Great deal of satisfaction with the district. District kept its promises about how the funds would be used. I can't tell you how many districts I go to, and that's the very least, the very lowest grade, promises kept. The only suggestions that people had or that people wanted, again, a little more communication, and the transparency thing came up, and that's another kind of 1-2 punch that most districts get. So nothing out of the ordinary there. We then ask about performance on CSIP goals, and again, you receive very high marks that range from, you had four goals and 5 objectives, or 5 goals and 4 objectives, something like that. Grades range from a 4.19 to a 3.97. Again, just really, really good grades. Top grade was govern in an efficient and effective manner. So that addresses all of you here. Number 2, develop and enhance quality programs. Number 3, recruit and retain staff. And number 4, promote community involvement. So again, terrific scores on that. Much interest in district news. We asked people about 25 different potential sources of information, how they got their information about the district. 8 of those 25 that we asked about were consulted frequently by at least 40% of the survey population that answered the survey. So of the 375 people we talked to, 40% said they turned to 8 different sources of news about the district. That tells us that people are really, really interested in what's going on in the schools, and that the school district is, woven into the fabric of the community. So everything that you do is of interest to folks. So in summary, I would just say that patrons are very happy. They're happy with the performance of the district. They're very happy about how the bond issue played out, and the fact that you were on time and that you were transparent in talking about that. And they're very happy with your progress on CSIP. The only area that received featherweight criticism, again, was the area of communications, and reading between the lines on this, as we kind of dove into this 50-page article or deck, it seems that the answer on communications is simply more frequency of messages, maybe using more channels. Now that you know that there are 8 different channels that people turn to, that would kind of be our recommendation. Can I answer any questions?
Well, we have a new communications director that actually is here with us tonight, Gina Zervos, which has just come on board.
Oh, awesome.
So I know that she's already diligently at work, and so I think that will be something that we will definitely see improve.
Very good. Very good.
Huh? That's how serious we took your survey.
Yes, there you go.
So, Rick, if you would, since the people that are watching this on TV live, and we'll see the replays of it, you're on TV, by the way.
Great.
Yeah, it didn't receive one of the higher marks on how they receive information, but Could you share like the top 4 or 5
Sure.
sources of information, where they get it?
Yes, I can. Any minute now I can do that.
Did we give them these choices, or were
I
these,
think it's page 4.
what they,
We generated the additional.
That's why I don't have it. I don't have page 42. I believe.
Would this be it?
oh, okay. So we provided the choices.
We provided.
These are not
It's like the Alumni Association. The Alumni Association was less than 6 or 7 months old by the time that this was done, so we would anticipate that would go up, and we knew some of those. But free responses, though. Right.
Top answers, friends and neighbors,
Yeah.
79%. It's number 1 in every school district in America. Number 2, teachers. I've never seen teachers that high. It shows that people think a great deal of your teaching staff. Number 3, the Phelps County Focus. Number 4, the Rolla District website. Number 5, the superintendent, which is also very high. Usually when we ask about the superintendent, people say, who? And then
that would be okay.
school principals kind of rounded out the top of that group.
So RD, good for you, right? Phelps County Focus.
I think it's interesting that outdoor marquees at the schools, though, is right there. That
We also have a school district
people
in-
still look at those signs as they drive by the buildings.
We have a school district in Kansas we work with. That's the number 2 source of information behind Friends and Neighbors. It's Marquise.
I'll be darned.
And it's not Dinkyville. It's Salina, Kansas, which is a decent-sized market.
Huh.
I'm surprised Facebook wasn't on there.
Social media was on there, just wasn't in the top 6.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't higher.
Yeah. What we tend to see with that is people are turning to their own Facebook to chat with friends and neighbors as opposed to going to the district's Facebook page. So that's, when we ask about social media or Facebook, they're thinking the district page and not their own. So,
School messenger, the mass messages that's in there, but we limit the mass messenger to 11 or 12 items so that we don't saturate, so they pay attention to it, because it's usually something to do with an alert, school cancellations, or any other kind of immediate information we need to get to parents. So if we do too much of it, it loses its impact, and that was guidance we received when we implemented that program.
I will tell you that this district, and I have presented to you before, it's always a joy to present the findings from this district. We have an awful lot of districts who do the grading questions and never get a 4. Everything is below a 4.0. So Raleigh is exemplary, and it's always fun to present that kind of stuff. Anything else?
Well, I was going to say Rick's going to be with us when we do the back-to-school presentation, kickoff celebration, which if you're watching this after this evening, it'll be antiquated, but on Friday the 10th. So we're pleased that you'll be able to deliver some of this message to the staff. It's a time we get people charged up and ready for school. We appreciate your work. We'll use this as part of our fall planning. Our hope would be that when we do our retreat and start looking at planning, we've finished our long-range facility plan, and those things are in place and still working the CSIP, so this data will help guide our focus. So
A lot of meat in there, yeah.
appreciate your work.
All right, thank you very much.